when in the beginning of the World Cup, during the build-up, they said, we won't give it back. It seemed like a commercial jingle. It didn't seem like there was cricketing logic to it. But after having seen India beat South Africa, is there now added cricketing meaning to the hashtag won't give it back? We got elated Harbhajan Singh joining us. He's absolutely thrilled, as are all Indian fans. And facing off against him is Bhajji-Symonds. Welcome. Have the both of you gentlemen become friends just yet? You've been spending some time together?
We have, yes.
Nice. Bhajji, what about you?
Well, of course.
You scared of the big man?
Yes, I am very scared of him. But he's a very nice guy.
Does he have reason to be scared of you?
No, none. It's all good.
All good?
The only thing I'm scared of if I get late, coming back to the hotel. So that's the only time I get worried, because he's very strict. He wants me to be there on time,
He's keeping a watch on you?
Yes.
There's a curfew?
Yes, there's a curfew. I can't...
You've been partying too hard, Bhajji?
No. I've got a lot of friends over here, so I keep on going out for dinners.
You must take Andrew along, show him the sights.
No, because he's worried that, I should be concentrating on the shows rather than going on for dinners and stuff. So he wants me to be back.
Too hard?
I don't know. I've been trying to keep him on a short rope so he doesn't make any mistakes, but it's going okay so far.
No, you must insist that he take you out with him next time you go out.
Okay. Maybe the second half of the tournament we can relax a bit.
As Andrew opens up, what do you make of India's fabulous batting? Do you think that we won't give it back has a lot of cricketing meaning now?
Yeah, well, it does. I think from today's result, you can draw a lot of positives out of the way that India have regrouped after the Australian series. They played all-round excellent cricket today. They batted well. They settled early in their batting innings, built a big total, had two big partnerships. They came out to field. The seamers hit the wicket hard, and the fielding was very enthusiastic. It's the best I've seen India field for quite some time.
Who's looking better, India or Australia?
Well, I'd say Australia at the moment, but India are gaining momentum through today's game and obviously the Pakistan game.
What do you think, Bhajji, changed? We were getting hammered. We got beaten by England, we got thrashed by Australia, and suddenly 2 weeks later we seem to be a different side.
Well, I think what has changed is attitude. That's the biggest change I've seen. As you were saying, that we were not getting the results what we wanted, and we were just getting thrashed. Our bowlers were not able to pick wickets.
Why couldn't our players bring this game during the tri-series?
I don't know. Maybe we were lacking in our attitude, and we were not really up for the challenges. Maybe we were too tired after the test series and stuff. But of course, when World Cup comes, everyone just get together and feel, okay, this is the cup which matters.
And it changed so dramatically between when we were getting hammered in the tri-series to now where we seem to be a completely different unit.
I think the World Cup's a different tournament. It's one that India are defending, and they could completely reset after the Australian series. They could just forget about that and move on to something fresh and new, which is the World Cup. So that probably allowed India a little bit of freedom. They had a couple of weeks off at the end of this Australian series, so they probably got away from cricket and freshened up mentally. And now they've come back and they're playing some good cricket.
Is India looking good enough to be able to retain the World Cup?
Yes, definitely. I've been saying it on our shows.
He's saying Australia still looks much better.
Well, Australia is a very, very good team. I agree with him. But India is definitely gaining momentum, after, how they played against Pakistan. And more than the Pakistan game, I think this was a sweeter victory for me, because this is a much bigger team. And they have...
Why did South Africa, who came into this tournament as favourites, collapse in the fashion that they did?
Well, I don't know what happened, but all I can feel that they didn't handle the pressure well. And there were times, when they were blocking a lot of balls, and obviously that pressure was building on them. And while that was happening, end of the day, I could see, I could sense batsmen were thinking that they have to play a shot where they can get a boundary off, and which didn't happen. Du Plessis tried to hit a boundary, he got caught, and AB de Villiers'
Hashim Amla got caught.
Yeah, he got caught, but I think the game changed in India's favour when AB de Villiers got out.
And that was a big victory, wasn't it? And the best thing is, it's poetic justice, because he ran two of our players out just as well. We got him run out too.
Yeah, well, as I said, the Indian fielding was spot on. The two opportunities they had to run people out, well, they missed one, but the two other opportunities they had, the ball was right next to the stumps, and the run-outs were affected. So I think fielding's such a big part of winning a World Cup. If you take your catches and you can affect run-outs where possible, it goes a long way to making defending an easier thing to do.
Okay, did it seem as if India were fielding, because usually, South Africa feels the way India does and India doesn't. Completely different fielding unit this.
But it's not the case. Sorry, I'm just interrupting you in between. We are a good fielding unit. If you see Raina, Virat, Shikhar.
No, but compared with the last time when Dhoni said that some of our seniors were having problems getting the ball across from the fence till the wicket.
Well, today was obviously a totally different story. You see Mohit Sharma is probably one of the quickest fast bowler fielder we have. And he got AB de Villiers run out, which is fantastic. And the other run out was done by Umesh Yadav. Both of them, they are bowlers.
No, and they also bowled spectacularly well. And these are players who just till a couple of matches ago, one being able to pitch it in the right areas, Umesh Yadav was bowling too short. This time he had speed, he had precision, and he was deadly.
Well, after that series, they must have sat together and, saw their whatever clippings and what they have done.
Didn't they do all of this before the series?
They must have, but it's just that it didn't click. That's only I can say, it didn't click. But somehow I can see the overall change in their body language. Everyone is up for the challenges and everyone is going there to make a presence of himself and doing something for the team. They all want to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm going to be the hero for the team. And that's what matters, when you're playing in the World Cup. You want to be the hero for the team. And which I can see in their body language. Everybody wants to win games for the country.
Bowling has been India's weak suit so far. Do you think that this bowling attack can be consistent in the way that it was today?
I think so. I mean, you've got some speed there. Yadav, he bowled the second fastest ball of the day. 147. So there's some pace there, so they can attack through that, and then they've got the ability to swing the ball early on as well. And then I was saying to Bhajji earlier, the thing that I think strengthens the Indian side again is having the off spinner back in the side in the middle overs to take wickets and stem the flow of runs. So as a bowling unit, look, you put it against the South African bowling unit, that doesn't look as strong, but when they come out and they play like they did today, they're very capable of doing their job. So they're not to be underestimated.
And the spinners, Bhajji, your sense of the fact that both Sir Jadeja and Ashwin bowled really tight?
I think they bowled really well. Ashwin was very good today. Even against Pakistan, he's looking to bowl much slower than what he did.
He was bowling far slower, looping it much more than the South African spinners.
Of course, because the more you will toss it up in Australia, you will get little bit of purchase out of the wicket. Otherwise, if you'll keep on bowling dart balls or flatter balls, it won't spin and it'll be easier to score runs off those balls. And it's good to see Ashwin is bowling well, and Sir Jadeja need to bowl little slower as well. I think he'll be very good. If he can bowl little slower in the air, he'll be able to get few more.
But what about the toss? Just for a moment, focus, Bhajji, for us on the importance of winning the toss, because in this World Cup so far we've seen whoever wins the toss, bats first, scores more than 300, puts just too much pressure on the team that's chasing.
Well, more than me, Andrew probably will be able to tell you, maybe the condition change in Australia. When you're bowling under light, it tends to swing a little more, and it just goes off the wicket as quicker than the afternoon.
How much of a difference is there in percentages? 10%, 5%? How much easier is it to bat first in Australia at this time of the year?
Well, I said earlier, there's two ways of looking at it. If you bat first, it's better batting during the day. There's no dew, but the ball can swing a little bit. And then at night, when the dew comes, the ball can be harder to grip because it's damp, but also if you get the dew on the wicket, the ball can actually skid onto the bat nicely. Yeah. So it's a bit of a balancing act. The way that the Indians went about their cricket today, mentally they looked on. They were very stimulated when they batted. They had everything under control. Then when they fielded, they came out. They were aggressive in the field, and they were aggressive the way they bowled. And I think they summed up the conditions better than the South Africans. The spinners bowled a better speed through the air, and the quicks bowled quite a bit straight.
But what happens, Bhajji, if we lose the toss? Let's assume there's a knockout game. We're under pressure, we lose the toss, and we have to bat second. And we're chasing, say, 300.
We'll still win the game. As simple as that. I mean, the way we are playing, I'm sure these two games must have given a lot of confidence to each and every player in the team. And it doesn't matter whether you win the toss or lose the toss. End of the day, all you got to do is do your work properly.
But when so many sides batting first, score so many runs and teams chasing lose, does that just begin to add to the pressure on the team batting second? Because so many people have lost, you just assume it's much tougher for you to get those runs?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're here, you can overanalyse the game as well. I think chasing a big score in Australia is probably more difficult, bigger grounds. But chasing a score, say if you play a semi-final in New Zealand, they're smaller grounds and it's not such a daunting task having to chase 300. And I think what we must also remember is that the extra fielder that has to come inside the circle now for the last power play, that opens up another attacking opportunity with another man that's not on the boundary saving boundaries. So you've got to bat deep into your innings. That's the key.
Even when you're batting second.
Even when you're batting
Wouldn't
second.
that put a lot of pressure on the team batting second? If you've say got 100, 110 to chase of the last 10, which might be possible if you're batting second, which might be possible if you're batting first, but when you're batting second, does that put a lot of pressure psychologically?
I agree with him what he's saying. You know, if you're chasing 300, your plan should be not to lose wickets in first 20 overs. You know, you lose 1 or 2 wickets, that's it. You know, while you have wickets in hand, like 6, 7 wickets in hand, and you're into your 30, 35th overs, you're always there in the game. You know, I was listening to a lot of the other commentators as well. They are all talking the same. You know, while you're chasing, you have to have wicket in the hand because that power play gives you an opportunity to score 50, 60 runs.
But is it not true that in a knockout stage, especially 100 in the last 10 would actually feel like 150, just psychologically?
In a final, you mean? Yeah, I mean. It's the way that you control the situation. If you can go into those last sort of 15 overs with 7 or 8 wickets intact, anything's possible to chase down. If you've got 2 set batsmen or 1 set batsman, you know, you can really gain some momentum and put some pressure back on the bowling side.
Okay, so what happens from here on? We've got a big match against the West Indies coming up and also looking ahead into the quarterfinals. Which is the team that you think India would rather play, Bhajji? Because right now, if we're number 1 in our pool, we could possibly be taking on either England or Sri Lanka from the other pool. Who do you think works better for us?
Well, I think we just need to be focused on what we can do, no matter what comes. You know, when that stage will come, we'll know, you know, how to play and how to tackle those teams. And we need to just stick to our game plan. And I'm sure if we'll do that right, will be able to difficult.
Is this something that Dhoni should have on the back of his mind, the net run rate, looking especially at whether India can end up at number 1 in its pool so it plays the weakest team from the other pool?
No, I don't think so. I think you don't want to waste your energy and wear yourself out mentally thinking about what may happen or could happen. What you need to do is play what's in front of you. You know, you don't want to have sleepless nights worrying about what other teams are doing and what if this happens, what if that happens. It's too taxing on you. You've just got to try and relax once the cricket's over. You know, get yourself to training and do all that sort of thing. And then when you're faced with your next game, prepare for that and worry about what's in front of you. Don't worry about scoreboards and run rates.
Should Dhoni be batting further up the order, especially in the couple of matches that we still have before the knockout stages?
Possibly, yeah. I think he will need some time in the middle before.
Why doesn't he do it in your view? He did it in a dramatic fashion at the Wankhede in 2011 in the finals, but he hasn't done it too often since.
I think possibly as a captain he probably doesn't want to undermine the players in front of him. You know, they're picked in the side to bat, and he's putting his faith in them. But as I say, when we used to play against him, it was always good if he held himself back because you felt the longer he batted, the longer.
Bhajji's losing catching practice, Bhajji. That's not good.
The longer that Dhoni batted, the more he could take the game away from you. Or
that as an opponent weighed on your head.
Absolutely, yeah. He was.
So why doesn't he do it more often? As an opponent, Andrew Symonds is saying he's concerned about how many balls Dhoni gets, and he just gives himself too few balls to get in.
Well, it'll be nice for him to get a proper hit, you know, in one of the games against maybe UAE or Ireland.
No, why doesn't he do what he did against Sri Lanka more often?
Well, I don't know. That probably you'll have to ask him when you meet him.
But you've played with him. You've spent so much time.
Because
just looking into his mind, what do you think
one of the reasons what Andrew had mentioned that he have a lot of faith in the guys who are going before him, and he just don't want to make them look, okay, I'm going and you'll have to kind of do the job what I do. At the end, probably he is the only guy who do that job the best, you know, going down the order and hitting those 6s and 4. And maybe that's the reason.
No, but he could still do that if he came in at the 35th, 36th over.
Yeah, definitely. I feel if he'll play 15 overs, you know, he'll be scoring much more runs than what he's scoring. And because he's only getting to play 15, 20 balls. The day he will play 40 odd balls, he'll score 60, 70 runs for sure.
And that would be special. What, according to you, Andrew, are the niggles that the Indian team needs to worry about before the knockout stages begin?
Yeah, well, that was the one thing that I've seen in the 2 games that they've played well is those last half a dozen overs, being able to find the boundary. You know, today there was quite a few dot balls towards the end, and I sort of thought they could have scored an extra 15, maybe 20 runs. They didn't need them in the end. They won by 130 comfortably. But when it comes down to semi-finals and finals, it's very important that you nail that last little period and try and put the opposition, you know, take the opposition out of the equation completely.
Okay. You know, Harbhajan, Andrew, we had a call-in on our last show. And Bhajji, I want you to focus for a moment on whether, on the basis of the performance that we've seen in the last 2 games, India can beat Australia if that chance came.
Well, it'll be a big game. And I don't know what will happen on that day, but if India can play like the way they have played in last 2 games, they can definitely beat Australia as well.
But do you think that the victories over South Africa, Pakistan will give extra confidence to this team going in?
Definitely. India must be gaining a lot of confidence out of these 2 games, and I'm sure if they play tomorrow with Australia, they'll be head-to-head.
And in that sense, you know, we really owe Australia a big thank you, because this served as good practice for us coming in, playing a top-notch team. So therefore, Pakistan and South Africa seems that much more easier to deal with.
Well, one of the things that I think has worked in India's favour, they've been in Australia for a long time. You know, they've had a test in a one-day series, so they've had time there to get used to the Australian conditions. You know, admittedly, they were probably tired at the end of that series, but they had a couple of weeks off, and I think down the track they'll be better off for having been in Australia for so long.
Is there a fear that we could possibly get a little complacent and comfortable given how well we're doing? There's so many fans cheering for India. As far as the Indian players are concerned, will they start thinking, we've already done our job?
No, I don't think so, Rahul, because last 2.5 months, they have struggled a lot. I mean, in terms of their own performances and stuff, I don't think they'll be thinking all those, you know, that they can relax since they have won 2 games. I think every time now they'll walk onto the field, they'll be like tigers, like what they were today. You know, I'm sure they are looking forward for the whole World Cup, not just last 2 games, and they'll not get too excited about last 2 games, and I'm sure they will do well.
Symonds, your sense, do you think that there's a sense that possibly they could get a little relaxed, comfortable with the way things have gone?
I don't think so. I get the feeling that they seem very focused. And their body language today when they went onto the field, it was a good one. You know, they were all pulling in the right direction. You know, they very committed early on with the bat, and as I said earlier, their commitment in the field was outstanding. So, and that's usually a very good sign as to how your team's going, as to how you're feeling as a unit.
Okay, who, according to you, in the matches that you've seen so far, seem the best teams, Bhajji?
I think New Zealand definitely one of the teams which look really.
But they've been
good.
playing at home. They have an advantage there.
Well, apart from New Zealand, then Australia is also playing
Sure.
at their home. And if you leave these two teams away, then India looks the best team. You know, because India is the only team which is.
But so far, you think New Zealand's looking better than India?
Yes, because I think they've got their bowler who can bowl lines, length, and at the same time pick wickets with the new ball. And they have got the batting lineup which have firepower. But at the same time, India looked as good as any of these 2 best sides. You know, people are saying that New Zealand and Australia were capable enough to win the World Cup. I would say India have equal chance to win the World Cup too, because we are also.
Those
very,
are your
very
3 favourites. Simon, on the basis of the matches we've seen so far, your favourites?
Yeah, I'm not going to write South Africa off. Yeah, I think Australia, New Zealand, and then South Africa. You know, sometimes getting a good kick in the pants can be a good thing for a side, which South Africa got today. The only thing that would concern me if I was a South African supporter is how badly injured is Philander. He only bowled 4 overs in that game today, and he's a key striker for South Africa. So if they lose
Dale
him,
Steyn had some kind of a niggle.
oh, did he?
They were talking about him having a strain.
Okay, well, if they that'll be a major if
Andrew,
they lose him.
Do you agree they don't have a batter at batting at 7 because Parnell is batting 2 up the order?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on Parnell at 7, especially the way he bowled today. You know, he went for quite a few runs, and he's not your out and out all rounder. He's good for, you know, 20, 30 balls maybe, but he's not going to score you a 60, 70, 80 at the back end of an innings. I don't think he's got the quality with the bat. He can bowl. He didn't have a great day with the ball, but he can bowl. But his batting worries me a bit.
Okay, it's been fun having the both of you on this broadcast. Thank you very much, Andrew Symonds and Harbhajan Singh, for joining us, and hopefully we can get the both of you to spend some time together once the shows get over too. Thank you so much.